What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about a new MMR or new rating system that needs to be implemented, or something needs to change. And Axon put out this forum post. I've been talking about this like so many times, so often in my stream. And then he put this in writing. So it's like, you know what? Let's make a video on it. I've been talking about this so much in my stream because, you know, what is rating anymore? It's just an arbitrary number that literally it means something different every single season. You know, if you really want to know the true experience of somebody that you find in LFG, you have to ask them their experience and then ask them what year they got that experience, so that you can cross-reference the season with the experience to see what their actual, then, you know, do a little percentage calculation for what that was, and then you can figure out their actual experience, because it doesn't mean anything anymore. Because, you know, some seasons 2500 is the same as 3K, and sometimes 3K is the same as 2700 the next season, and it's just extremely inconsistent, and something needs to change. And you know, that also is painful for the MMR system as well. So he basically talks about that same thing. What are the numbers actually accomplishing anymore? The answer is it depends when they got this title. Exactly. 2100 is now at the very top of the ladders. When we get to the last week of the season, thousands of players will be at or above 2500, making this number have no real meaning. Shadowlands Season 2 had over 10,000 gladiators, while Dragonflight Season 1 had less than a quarter of that. If someone got gladiator in Shadowlands Season 2 but did not get in Dragonflight Season 1, did they become a worse player? Did their class get worse? What happened? The answer is the rating system is just designed terribly. Very good point. When rewards are tied to reaching a specific rating rather than a ranking, it causes a huge problem where people are maybe able to reach rewards very easily when the ladder is heavily inflated, but then there isn't enough inflation. It becomes very difficult to obtain those rewards. The gladiator tournament is just much higher ranking than it should be. I completely agree. You know, I have kind of been in this boat as well, especially all of Shadowlands. And you know, I've never been, if you guys watch my content, I played like aggressive wrestler druid, which didn't work. It never worked in threes, so I wasn't really super interested in playing threes. And I would literally just wait till gladiator was easy. That's just what I did. I just waited for it to inflate, and then I would do it because I just wasn't having fun. You know, I would have fun doing twos, but I wouldn't have fun doing threes. So I just waited out, let the rating inflate, and then, you know, crank it out real quick in like a few sessions. So that's not a good thing, man. Like, it should be it's called the seasonal aurora for a reason, and it's just so inconsistent. So what we have now, it just doesn't work anymore. Maybe it worked in the past, but we're constantly having different levels of participation each season, and Blizzard cannot properly inflate the ladder when the inflation changes so much. Because you know, there are seasons like going into Dragonflight. So Shadowlands Season 4 was pretty bad. Actually, it wasn't that bad. But Dragonflight Season 1 was way too inflated, mostly because of Solo Shuffle. But we had really high participation in the beginning of Dragonflight, and then it fell off. And I don't know if they intended to think that the Season 2 would be the same participation as last, so they deflated it so that it wouldn't go that high. But now there's low participation and low inflation, so then everyone's just kind of just getting crapped down, and they can't gain rating. With that said, though, I want to make this clear that not everybody deserves every rating. Okay, this is a really big problem with not even WoW players. This is a human problem. When I was talking about it, I'm like, this is a human problem. When people say, I'm hard stuck 1700, this is just not fun, I can't gain rating. Maybe you didn't get better. It's not always supposed to just give you the rewards. Sometimes you have to achieve the reward. So don't forget that. Okay, just because we're used to the rating constantly inflating you, doesn't mean you should just be constantly getting rating. Like, if you get better, you gain rating. If you get worse, you lose rating. That's how it should be. Okay, I do understand there are other factors involved, but in general, you know, always remember that just because if you're hard stuck at a rating, and especially in a season like this, that's probably where you are relative to the ladder. Okay, and people don't like to hear that, but that's just where you are relative to the current ladder. The current ladder is deflated. Okay, so but percentage wise, that's where it is. Speaking of percentages, the only reward to make this list, he goes over the current rewards here. Makes sense, is to make the title percentage based, no matter how inflated or deflated ladder is, being the top 0.1% should be the same every season. Exactly. But the rest of the rewards will likely feel inconsistent in terms of difficulty from season to season because they're varying inflation static rating requirements. Yes. So if you have percentage, like rank 1 is always feels the same. It's just as difficult to get because it's always percentage based. Basically how it used to be. I believe the best way to solve this is to make all the rewards based and introduce brackets like other competitive games have. The names that they already use for ratings and brackets. So your brackets can be combatant, and you can even do combatant 1 and 2, challenger 1 and 2, rival 1 and 2, duelist 1 and 2, elite 1 and 2, gladiator rank 1. But honestly, I'd rather just see completely new names for the brackets to eliminate old. Yes, exactly. Blizzard has kind of screwed with their entire experience, like what is experience anymore, like we mentioned in the beginning. Nobody knows what experience is anymore. So honestly, this is a good idea. I think it should just be completely scrapped for new brackets, whether they want to use bronze, gold, silver, plat, whatever they want. If they want to copy off of other games or even Overwatch, they can use Overwatch's brackets as well, because maybe that might actually help with a little participation in that. Prior to Battle for Azeroth, all titles were percentage based, which I think was a great at the time, but I think it could have been done better. The old problem with the old percentage based system was the lack of mid-season rewards. True. You had to wait until the season ended to get your gladiator mount or duelist title, which I think had pros and cons. Yeah, having only a reward at the end of the season is not enough. But to get most players to participate, Blizzard made the gladiator mount and other rewards obtainable during the season, which is fine. Yeah, no, 100%. But you want to have a mixture of both, because you either have the reward available all the time, people hit the reward and they stop playing, or they had the reward only at the end. People play the very beginning, they take a humongous break, they come back the last 2 weeks and they get it. So you want to have something in the middle. I would I think it's best. So what I think is changed is make Gladiator and all the other rewards percentage based, but still obtainable during the season. Gladiator can be one of the brackets, and to earn Gladiator, you have to get X number of wins in the bracket. Wins while in the rank 1 bracket would still count towards the Glad wins, of course. This would make the reward far more consistent, because inflation deflation is irrelevant with the structure. The same should be applied to getting elite sets, weapons, illusions, tabards, etc. Make them all percentage based but obtainable by getting wins while within or higher than the appropriate bracket. I like this idea because it gets you to not just hit the bracket, but you have to stay consistent in the bracket. Okay, and another good thing about brackets in general is people. I remember this was a previous discussion. With what season was it? It was probably Dragonfly season 1, because it was in Shadowlands. It was Shadowlands season 1. That's what it was. When people played like literally the first 3 weeks of the season, and they got to this top of the ladder, and then they just never played again because the ratings, the ladder deflated. When you have percentage based systems or brackets, it artificially deflates in a sense. You artificially are decaying your rating while actually not decaying. I don't know how the internal system of this would work. I'm not 100% familiar how the other games work, like League or Overwatch or something like that. Because if you do have an internal MMR system, I guess you do have an internal system that would. I don't know, how would that work? Yeah, that's something I don't know. Maybe one of you guys would know. Like, if you don't play for a certain amount of time, would you lose your ranking and you would have to play again? I don't know exactly how. I would assume that's what would happen. But let's say. So also the original Gladiator cutoff was 0.5% if I remember correctly. I don't think Gladiator has to be the same. Yeah, I think the old Gladiator cutoff was probably a little too difficult. I think it should be dropped down a little bit. I genuinely believe more people can get Glad mounts as long as it isn't way too easy to still get. It should be somewhat prestigious. Then overall the game is better with more people participating for a award. True. So the Gladiator cutoff could be top 1% or 0.3%. 3% is probably too much. Maybe just 1%. Because 0.1 to point. Oh no, it was 0.5. Okay. Hey, I don't know. They could probably mess with the numbers, like the original Duelist was, or top 2%. I don't remember. I'm not sure what the best cutoff was. These are just random numbers, but my point is, I think Gladiator mount doesn't need to be as difficult as it used to be prior to BFA. Apply the same reward structure with the Elite Set, Tabard, Enchant to other brackets. I think it would make it much more sense for players to complete mess would have the arbitrary ratings and whatnot. Yeah, and if it is percentage based, you will like feel more motivated to stay in that bracket. Like if you get passed out of that bracket, you'll play again. You get passed out of that bracket, you'll play again, and then the rating number becomes a lot less relevant, because it's just so dumb right now. Okay, I also think you should be able to see your ladder rank at all times along your current bracket. Right now, you can only see your ladder when you're above 2400, which doesn't make any sense. When players aren't put in the bracket, they can't see their rating. How are people supposed to gauge their progress? I like this. I think the current ratings should just not show at all. Then players can only see their bracket and ladder ranking. There has just been way too many seasons with different amount of inflation at this point, and rating can. I guess so. In reality, you could have the same inflation, you just don't show it, and people don't know what they have. And you could have the same inflation system, but it's percentage based, so it doesn't matter if the rating. I guess you still have to inflate it properly, but I'm just trying to think what would be going on behind the scenes. With a bracket system like this, I believe it would also solve the issue that with Blizzard having to time gate MMR and rewards because everything is percentage based. It doesn't matter how far into the season we are, rewards can be earned at any time, and it will be the same difficulty at any given time, minus the class balance factor. The one reward I think that should remain the same is rank 1 titles, keep them at the end of the season. Yeah, I agree. I probably just had some sense, kind of random nuts. I like this. I really do like this. One thing I'm thinking of is, inflation does actually matter, I guess, in a way, because they do have to make sure they're still inflating properly. Because in the case like where we are right now, you do have the percentages like this, but you'll just get past. People wouldn't know that the inflation is busted because they're just getting passed, and they're not like you can see I guess they would see their ranking is not going up very quick, but that's not a lot less of a problem with these bracket systems. Any interesting posts on here? Okay. When a season has incredible average participation, do you think there should be equal distribution of skill levels added to the population? In other words, take your average 1600 player. Imagine a season where tons of participation. Is that player more or less equally likely to obtain a rival? But the point is, unless the average skill level of the pool from top to bottom are the same, just with the total number of players, the title percentages are capable of being arbitrary or fluctuating season. From what I could tell, that is a good point. So I think if I'm correct, what he's saying is if participation is down a lot, then you might be a duelist player one season, but because there's a lot smaller of a pool, and typically the people that do stay in the game are the higher rated players because they love the game and they want to keep playing, you would artificially kind of get deflated, huh? You kind of have the same issue. I'm thinking about that. It depends, like, when the participation falls off, are the top end players leaving or the bottom end players leaving? So that's kind of interesting perspective to have on it, because I guess his point is that, like, I'm facing 1800 rank 1 players, and my thought is, yeah, those are the only people that are still playing the game. The people that like really care about it and stuff. So that's a tough one, man. I think they're on the right. I think he's on the right money. I mean, I've been saying this like for weeks on my stream, and I keep having discussions about it, so I thought I'd make a video about it. But Blizzard definitely needs to change this new rating system because the current one is just outdated. It doesn't work. I don't know what the correct answer is. I think some sort of percentage-based bracket system is the way to go, but how to fine-tune it, I'm not sure yet. But if you guys have any ideas or any thoughts on this, let me know in the comments down below, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe to the video. See you in the next one.